Happy Thursday and welcome to today's outstanding, special, and incredible episode of Veeam Tech Bites. I am Rick Vanover, the Rickatron, coming to you live from Central Ohio, and I'm joined by one of my colleagues on the product team here at Veeam, Billy Cashwell. My man, how are you today?
Rick, I am feeling good. I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about the Veeam Software Appliance today. And thanks for having me on your show. I call it your show because you've done so many of these. You've become iconic. I am just proud to be here today, Rick.
Actually, I think it's the other way around. I think you told me we're doing this. Hey, Rick, you want to do it with me? I think it was kind of the other way, but you're welcome on my show. Yeah, you're good. You're good. All right. So we have a very unique format today. I'm going to get right into it because we got a little bit of latency. We are live. And what I mean by that is we are, 12:01 New York time, right on time. And we're going to take questions from the audience. So we do have about 20-30 seconds of latency from when I clap to when you hear it or something like that. So we're going to take your questions on the Veeam Software Appliance. This is the AMA episode. We got a good crowd. I can see some tune-ins already. So first up to the audience, bring us your questions. We will relay this. We got Randy tuning in from Wisconsin. I see that. Good one there, Randy. You can pepper us in a question. But Billy, let's level set. What is the Veeam Software Appliance to get the juices flowing?
That's a fantastic question, Rick. And when we talk about what is the Veeam Software Appliance, it is a brand new way to deploy Veeam and subsequently Veeam Data Platform. It's pre-built, it's already hardened for you, so it's secure by default, it's ready to roll, and Rick, it's even taking advantage of some fresh features that we have not seen before. So there's a lot of exciting things to dive into this, but for us, this is a big bet for the future. This is a way that we can get out there, get deployed quicker, and help you guys really realize time to first value, not just installing it, setting it up, but actually protecting data.
Yeah, indeed. And I have a few kind of prepared pieces of content. This is the first one I want to show you. What is that Veeam Software Appliance? It is pre-built, pre-hardened, and predictable. And I'd argue there's a fourth pre, and it's really prevent. It's going to prevent some of those surprises that come with the different environments. And the thought here is that this is a place to run Veeam software. And what's better, to Billy's point, there's a lot of what's new beyond just this form factor. A lot of people think that is the news, but that's not all of the news. There's a lot more to it. Just the start, indeed. I got a number of people coming in. Welcome, TJ. Welcome, Max. Welcome, Matt. We got a lot of other friends tuning in. So, some of those folks on the line here, they're pretty good. Here we go. We got our first question here from Randy. Oh, Randy, come on. I want real questions. But Randy dropped in a question. I will just start this one out. What you're saying is that my life as a customer is easy and more secure with the VSA. Okay, that's a good start. What do you say to that, Billy? And I've got my own kind of POV as well.
I mean, to me, easy, I think, is the main word that I would start out with. And not easy from a remedial standpoint, but I mean, come on, we have deployed backup data protection servers and the like for so long in this industry. It doesn't need to be hard anymore. You're trying to get down to the point where you're doing your job, you're protecting your data. And your job, honestly, isn't to babysit installs and babysit backups all day. So this is a huge leap forward for us in that regard.
Yeah, that's a very important part. The one thing I'd add to that, Billy, is that the reality is that this takes a lot of the homework out of an organization. So, I make no mistake, Veeam has been successful in the market so far. But if an organization says yes to Veeam, and then what happens next? Okay, we download, we get our license, we install, at least with what's happened thus far. But then some of the hardening, right? A DISA-STIG hardening profile. I can tell you, I used to be an admin, and if I was told to do that to an operating system, that's a horrible amount of work. It's almost untenable. So to have that pre-hardened, that's a massive win for the audience to just save some work upon that moment when you say yes to
I
Veeam?
think
How's
it's
it go?
bigger than massive, actually, because think about the audience out there. We're talking about IT practitioners, IT specialists. Some people still are backup admins out there. But, Rick, something I believe in life is you have security people and you have IT people, and they're not usually the same person. Yet the IT team has a lot of things that they need to do to make sure things are secure because we all know backups are the number one thing that malware is after in ransomware cases. If they get your backups, you have two options, right? You can pay the ransom or you can basically go out of business or start over. And neither one of those are very interesting. So for me, and I'm an ex-backup admin. That's how I started my life, heck, back in the NetWare days. I shouldn't say that too often. Now you know where the gray hair comes from. But even back then, having to set up security was always a daunting task. To know that it's already done for me, and to know that it's done by a set of well-defined guidelines, that gets me a long way. And it's a catalyst for me to have more conversations directly with that security team. So I think it's a win, and I think Veeam is helping to be a catalyst to bring those teams together as well, Rick.
Indeed. In fact, we have our first real question.
We
Not
do.
knocking you, Randy, but you're just giving us a softball here. But Simeon has a question. I'll first throw this one over to you, Billy. Simeon's question is the new appliance some form of a virtualization? And Billy, I have that one thing, that picture. If you want, we can jump to it.
Sure, sure. Go ahead, pull that picture up. And what I'll say immediately, Simeon, thanks for the question. The best part about this is, and this has been asked for quite some time, it's actually running on Linux. So we've taken a form of Linux and we call it Just Enough OS, which should not be a new term for you guys and gals out there, that we're just keeping what we need to run the application to be performant. And again, it's running on Linux. The cool part about this is, to bring it back to the virtualization question, you can deploy this in two different ways. One is through an OVA, and one is through an ISO. So it's absolutely ready to be dropped right into a virtual or even in cloud environment, Rick, Simeon. And Rick, take us through this. So we saw this recently from one of our best and brightest, Joe Gramillion, that had put this new blueprint out there. And I really loved how, one of the things, Joe, can you show at least the quantity we're talking about that Joe was talking about here? Was he saying, well, 5,000 VMs? That's nuts. So tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, so big shout out to OG Joji. He has a really good part of our community hub in the security blueprints. And Joe, right upon the early release of the Veeam Software Appliance, he published a few of these designs in this scope here, single production data center, backing up using the Veeam Software Appliance to an offsite data center, 5,000 VMs and 100 physical servers. He's got a few t-shirt sizes, and he's got another one focused on cloud and Veeam Data Center, Veeam Data Cloud Vault. He has this look here, right? So to Simeon's question, no, the Veeam Software Appliance does not bring its own new virtualization technology. But if you want to know what this environment looks like, there's some great description, some requirements, assumptions, and constraints that are outlined. But probably one of my favorite are some of the resources. How much RAM? What kind of CPU? How much proxy? How many proxies? What are they configured as? Right. This is super valuable information.
Mm-hmm.
So, Simeon, definitely check out the community hub, community.veeam.com, and go down to a little bit down. There it is. Security blueprints. All kinds of really good T-shirt sizes. Big thanks to Joe. Just look for the hat.
And Rick, the gig's up. Shah has figured it out. It is based on Rocky Linux. Definitely not keeping that a secret. But one of the coolest things I like about the fact that we're using Linux here, Rick, is that for those people that are currently in a Windows environment or are used to using Veeam Data Platform on Windows, Rick, what do you have to know about Linux? What level of expertise do you need to have in Linux to use the VSA?
What I've been telling people, Billy, is that you need to know less Linux than you think. So I remember when we were previewing this at VeeamON, I actually had an interview with a journalist, and it just kind of, sometimes the truth just rolls with me, and haven't gotten into much trouble yet. But I said, click, click, boom, you have a Veeam. And that's really what it is. It truly is just a few questions, confirming the network, setting a password, binding MFA, and then you truly have a Veeam software appliance. So I feel that organizations don't need as much Linux as they think. This can be bare metal, kind of a little bit to Shah's comment and Simeon's question. It can be bare metal, but it also can be on a virtual platform. So there's an OVA, an open virtual appliance that can deploy, but it also can be the ISO where you install. So I use it on Hyper-V, which I forgot, or at least didn't realize Hyper-V doesn't support OVA, so I had to use the ISO. But Billy, I want to draw everyone's attention to the Veeam Ready program. A lot of people don't know, but the Veeam Ready program, we have a lot of, traction over the years for object storages, tape qualifications. If you're looking to select an offsite backup, Veeam Vault has Veeam Ready Object and a lot of others. Veeam Ready Tape, it's a good way to look for a tape infrastructure. But there's a relatively new qualification that actually was out even before the Veeam software appliance because of the hardened repository that we have in place, and that's the Veeam Ready appliance qualification. So I just want to draw everyone's attention to that. And if you go, whoops, wrong one, go to Veeam Ready appliance, there's now 6. Oh, who's the new one? Fujitsu, just this week. Fujitsu has been qualified. So we have the 2 HPE, the 3 HPE, the Lenovo offerings, and the Fujitsu. Now, I am new to the Fujitsu one, so I'm going to click on the sysdoc. And what do these things tell us? They tell us the version of the firmware, the specific configuration. So these are the types of qualifications. Yeah, the model, everything you need to buy. And it's great now that we have that 6th offering. That's fresh on the qualification. So that's a good one. So let's see. Do we have any other questions here? Can we get this this link? Yeah. So just for those of you looking, one person said, can I get the link to that? That's just Veeam Ready. I love doing the Google search, by the way. It's a good way to look it up because you don't have to, it's Veeam Ready, whatever. I will say we got a question from Adam, and I'm going to throw this over to you, Billy, because it's a licensing question. Adam says, what if I don't have a license? Can I still do backups, still do recoveries?
Absolutely. Yeah, even without a valid license, restores always remain available. We are not going to ever hold your ability to recover and put your data back that you protected with a Veeam product. We'll never hold that hostage. So the end result and the outcome for you guys is that you're never locked out of your own data. And Rick, that goes back to our mantra at Veeam, complete freedom from lock-in. This has been something we've been big about since day one. We are a software-defined solution. This is a software-defined appliance. And again, we are here to help grow with you.
Yeah, indeed. One thing I'm going to add, and I want to draw everyone's attention to one of the resources I've made, and this is going to be evolving over time, but it's the upgrade center, which is kind of weird because we can't upgrade right now. And that's one big question we get. There is not a productized upgrade yet. There will be. We're early days. We're calling it early release. But I want to draw everyone's attention to the upgrade center. And Felicia, if you could push that link, one of the links we have to the streams that will let you push a link. But one thing I want to highlight on this, scrolling down, a lot of people are going to have questions, and this is related to like some of the comments I'm seeing and also some of the questions. It's about the licensing, and I want to draw everyone's attention to the Veeam Software Appliance uses the NFR, a rental license, as well as a universal license. So the installable, that's my word, or Veeam Backup and Replication 12.3, 12.x has these other types of licensing models used. So it's one of those things that I think that if you're wanting to kind of prepare yourself, make sure you're aligned to this type, because a lot of people will see, hey, Billy, one thing's not on the left side of the column, eh?
That is very important. So one of the things, as Rick's pointing out, the VSA only supports the Veeam Universal License. And as you guys know, if you're still running sockets out there, we understand why. We definitely support that. But as one thing to consider, if you're looking at migration to Veeam Universal Licensing to get more security capabilities, to support more platforms, even as we're seeing many people switch from VMware to things like Proxmox or Nutanix or Scale Computing, which we just had an announcement with, Rick. All of those things are only supported with Veeam Universal License. So if you're interested in using the Veeam Software Appliance, you've got to be on Vol to use that. However, you can trial it right now today for free for 30 days without any type of license or any type of free license that you need. We'll send you everything that you need to do it.
Yeah, a couple of points I'll add to that. One, I think that this upgrade center, I put a lot of work into having everything everyone needs, including just saying when it was last updated. And I have some updates I'm going to put in very soon. But one thing I think is the most important part is a list of deprecated capabilities and discontinued features. And I would honestly put the Veeam Universal license versus the socket license as kind of something to sort out now before you get your heart set on the Veeam Software Appliance and you want to go there. So there's a whole bunch of stuff, including reversed incremental mode is deprecated looking into 13, right? So now is the time to sort this out. And there's two links on the forums where Anton, really months ago, by the way, before this milestone this month, Anton was really transparent of like, hey, friends, now is the time. And so when we're thinking about what do we need to do, this is a good time to tackle some of those deprecated features. But above that, this is the right time to leave bad design decisions of the past behind you.
Yeah, it's always a good time to take measure of things like jobs, configurations, settings, your security and access controls to things. It's a good time to take measure of that, especially if you've been with us quite some time. So we're always looking to innovate and iterate. It's one of our core values and always will be. And that's kind of why Rick is talking about what he's going through there. But I cannot stress enough how important this upgrade center is. This is something Rick does out of the kindness of his heart due to the need that we've seen in the community. And this is one of our most visited areas and blogs in the community website. So please take a look at this. Before you get started, take a look at this, because I know I'm guilty of this, Rick, but how many times have we gone through some sort of, we're excited about the new product, we go through, we do all these upgrades, and then we read the last instruction that says none of these instructions matter, right? So It's good to start out at the beginning and take a learning from what Rick and team has figured out.
Looks like we got two questions, Billy. Which one you want to take first?
Well, let's go with the second one. Let's keep it a little bit closer to the appliance. So Diago is asking a great question. He said, I heard Veeam Appliance does an auto upgrade of new firmware on its own. Rick, I think beyond just upgrade, let's talk about update in general. Rick, with regards to the appliance, right, it's purpose built, so it's pretty controlled and the things that are on it, you can't install other things on it, things like that. But how does it go about staying up to date, whether that's a new version update, whether that's an upgrade, whether that's a vulnerability patch that we've released? How does it go about that? Take us a minute and show us that one.
So I am going through a great post by Stabs, who's one of the legend. Yeah, one of the Veeam legends. And he has a great post on the host management. So this is a new experience that comes with the Veeam Software Appliance. And I don't know if you saw what I did. I just searched V13 and I got a great menu of content to look at. I'm going to go down to the bottom because I know it's down there. Oh, lots of people talking. But one of the things I want to highlight here is this host management console. This interface here will do updates for you. So that's really attractive. And I think when you think about securing your environment, this is something that organizations just need to do as you have a Veeam Software Appliance. I'm looking for it here. There it is. Now, this is a beta. We've got the look has changed just the littlest bit. Only somebody like me and Billy would notice the difference. But right here, for example, to Diago's question, here is where these updates are done, which is super powerful. And again, the V100 community has already tackled this months ago, but yes, there is a way to manage these updates. And the biggest question I get on that, Billy, is Well, I thought you said Veeam, don't put Veeam connected to the internet. That's true. We have the ability to pick those up from a local repository if you
Yep.
don't want the Veeam infrastructure connected to the internet.
Yeah, but the idea here is making sure the thing that your business is betting everything on, that thing that is the number one target, that gold mine for all the attackers, to make sure that what's managing that is up to date, it is secure, it's got the latest patches in it, and so on, just to make sure, again, to keep that protected. So, we felt like having this automatic update built into it was something that was wildly asked for, and we got a lot of great feedback on it in the beta. And Rick, when I say the beta, I don't think we've ever had a large beta or a beta this large with so much activity in it. It has gone gangbusters, and the amount of feedback we've got is fantastic.
I can say this. I heard a statistic internally about how many times over more downloaded this beta was compared to anything else. So the interest on this is absolutely through the roof. And when I think about, people in their journey, one of the first things you might just want to take a high level view, and then potentially if you're talking to your decision makers, right? If you are a practitioner, you use Veeam, you're interested in this. And if you want to like say, hey, boss, I want to change everything, all right, that might not go over so well. So, Billy, we've made this kind of top level page here. And I'm sorry about some of the visuals on here. It might hurt everyone's eyes, but tell us about this resource, about the appliance, how organizations can really start with the big picture.
Sure. So the only thing you need to do, you can just open up a search bar, whatever you use to search, whether that's a search engine or an AI, just type in Veeam Software Appliance. It'll take you to this page. The most important thing on this page that Rick's letting it scroll by is his smiling face, which is a video where Rick, you take us through a few of the updates and things to look for, and then you actually get to show it to us in action. And when you let us see it, you're showing us an interface that looks different than what we've seen in the past in such a fresh and new way. You're actually showing our new web interface, how all these things come together, how you can manage it from anywhere. And if you haven't taken a look, this is your one-stop shop for that, where you can not only get educated, but you can try it out as well, free for 30 days.
Yeah, the one part of it really is the fact that just this, is a great starting point about not just this way to consume Veeam software, but really the bigger picture, the resiliency, a little bit of stuff for your boss there with the resilience maturity model, the magic quadrant, and more. But see if we can get this link pushed out. I'm asking a lot of the production team this week. So thank you for keeping us all posted up here. But yes, Billy, this is a great starting point with some of the different things. Thank you, Felicia. Appreciate you. But yes, this is a really good one. I will say I got a question from, also this one comes from Diago, if I'm saying that
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah, same question or
He's like,
same asker. Where this is great.
which I'm bad at. Sometimes I'll change the questions here. Diago asks, I heard the Veeam, no, wrong question. How does Veeam look at immutable storage from products such as Object First? And, I think that's a really good question. And one thing I want to draw everyone's attention to is back here, the Veeam Ready. So if you go to Veeam Ready Object, now, Billy, pick
Yes.
a number. I showed it just a second there. How many Veeam Ready immutability? Let's get it right. What's your guess? When I click this, how many do you think is going to show up?
My guess is always the same, 42.
You're going to have a lot more than that. You got 58 on, let's see, 25th of September, 2025. So there are 58 different Veeam Ready Object qualified partners. Now, to Diago's question, he's asking about Object First. That's actually a really interesting one because that is built only to hold Veeam backups, right? Whereas you
Correct.
look at Amazon S3, Backblaze, Beyond Backup, those can hold all kinds of object storage. So there's a certain focus that comes with that. But the one thing I'll highlight is there's the Smart Object Storage API, and that's a much smaller list that actually have implemented that, which gives you some kind of low-level detail benefits, Diago, that I'd highlight. I don't even think we actually qualify. We don't make that searchable, believe it or not, Oh, we do. Yes, we do.
Oh, that's
So
new.
there's,
Yep.
yeah, that's new. You never know. We're keeping it up to date. But there are 16 of those, right? So, Diago, I would highlight that you look here in this list and kind of really think about the differences across them, everything from your capacity, footprint, and more. I'll say they're a fantastic partner. A lot of former Veemers are there. So there's definitely an institutional knowledge that they bring, arguably much more powerful than the rest of these, but that's just by their focus. But I use it in the lab, and but again, it's governed by the Veeam Ready object qualification and the Smart Object Storage API 16. That's more. I would have guessed that not as high. So it looks like the market's taking it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. We're getting this. This is going fast, Billy. We're just having too much
We're
fun.
getting
That's what we
close.
do.
I've actually got a question here from Tyler about kind of
Okay.
what's the real world impact of this. So, from a cost and operations perspective, Rick, how is this better than a hardware appliance?
Ooh, let's go back to the picture. How is
Yep.
this better than a hardware appliance? Okay, so what I would say above all, number one, still having fun, is something we were talking about honestly a lot more 2 years ago, and that's zero trust data resilience.
Yep.
And the thought here, Billy, is if you look at the componentry here, the software stack here, but if you look at the data plane here and here in blue,
Mm-hmm.
I can still, even with all of the zero trust pre-hardened statistic profile, I can assume breach here. I can assume breach here. I can, who knows what's going on in an agent, right? And let's just complete the party. Let's assume fire, flood, and blood here on production data, right? But when you think about the blue boxes, that is our absolute copy, or I like to say absolutely portable copy of our backup. It's immutable. It's got its
Yep.
own control plane. And you'll see, I think the magic here is, and I'll zoom in, zoomy right here. You'll see this language called the Veeam Infrastructure Appliance. That is different than, say, the Veeam Software Appliance. So
Yep.
that's really where the control plane and the data plane, at least in the case of a role of an infrastructure appliance, have that separation. And so I'm thinking about layers of resiliency, Billy. I'm always like, what could go wrong? And let's throw two or three other really bad things on top of that. So I love to that question from, I think you said it was from Tyler,
Yep.
about where does that sit? I want to go back to zero trust, data resilience. It's not really our top level message, but when you think about the layering and the resiliency, and in a way, this picture, again, hat tip, pardon the pun, of the hat to OG Joji, this is one of those things where the 32110 rule really
Oh,
kicks in
absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
makes it difference where let's say we have this and this are both immutable. I would say let's put it red for offsite. So you've got that 321 sorted out. First copy of data here. I love to say you have second copy of data with storage snapshot. Your third copy of data is here. Your fourth copy of data is here. Different media. This is 32110. Both are immutable, right? And I love it. So this is one of those ultra resilient architectures by
Mm-hmm.
design, built with resiliency. So ZTDR is kind of always in season. So again, those designs, Joe puts a lot of intentionality into it, and
He
I quite like them.
he does. And one of the interesting things I think you pointed out was, I don't know if you said mud and blood and flood or something, but when that whole data center goes up, and you've got to stand this up somewhere else, whether that's at offsite in the cloud or at a physical offsite. Use what hardware you have. Use what hardware works at the moment. You don't have to go out and get something specific, because again, we are absolutely agnostic to that. So the hardware you choose, the virtualization you choose, so on and so forth, that is really, I think, on top of what you said with ZTDR, Rick, that gives
Yep.
people a lot of flexibility.
Indeed, indeed. And so our final question is a fun one. This comes from Aaron. Where can I get some of the Veeam merch that Rick is wearing and both and clothes and on the wall? You know, Aaron, we have had the question so many times about a Veeam store. I'm thinking a public pop-up shop we should just do it, Billy. We should do it.
I think we should absolutely, absolutely. And Rick, let me close this out with one thing, one promotion for you guys. We've got I say one promotion. We've got a couple of things coming up. We've got the V100 show coming up, the Journey of Ransomware Live. That's open source threat intelligence that you can show up for. And we've got our fall online event coming in November, where we're going to have some big news there. We're going to showcase even beyond the VSA. We're going to go beyond the VSA and talk more about the VDP software in that event. So we're really excited about that. Sign up will be coming up soon. Definitely to take advantage and get signed up and watch that. Again, it's all free, Rick.
Yeah, man. In fact, super excited for the launch event, and you won't miss it. Trust me, we don't have the link yet, but you will not miss it. And then secondly, Ransomware Live, that project that Julian is working on, it's tip top. You definitely want to check it out. All right, Billy, thank you so much for joining me here today on Tech Bites. And a big thanks to Jeffrey live from the Barncade and Felicia pulling through while she's under the flu. I want to thank both of our producers here today. And thanks for watching. That concludes today's episode.
Thanks, everybody.